Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel and the final chapter of my Lotus Esprit build from Agora Models. Once again, if you missed any of the previous episodes, there is a link down in the description to the playlist where you can get all caught up. This has been a really cool build. I've really enjoyed sharing it with you guys. And in this final episode, we're going to see the completed model, a cool display that I'm building for it, and some really cool extra stuff that you'll just have to wait till the end to check out for yourself. But before I get started, if you're new here, thanks for tuning in and welcome. And to all my current subscribers, once again, thank you again for all your support. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate every single one of you. And if you want to get one of these for yourself or one of the other James Bond models that Agora has, scan that QR code on the screen or check down in the description for links to the Agora website and check them out. Okay friends, we've got a lot to get done in this pack so we can complete our mission and finish the Lotus Esprit from The Spy Who Loved Me. So I think it's time to get to the build. Okay friends, for stage 93, we're going to be fitting the front right hydroplane fin, which is this part that we completed in the previous stage. And in this stage, we get the front under panel for the car. So this is a nice big solid chunk of metal here. So we're basically going to situate this like this. And we're going to take our hydroplane, and it's just going to mount right there with some DSO1 screws. Okay, so let's get this one started here. All right. And also we want to make sure these are nice and tight. All right. Just like that. And with that, that is the end of that stage. Okay, for stage 94, we're going to be fitting the front left hydroplane fin. So first we are going to assemble this here like we did before. And again, these are keyed. They only go in one way. And they'll go in so that they only turn so much. And we're going to be fitting this with a PS23 screw. Okay, next we're going to bring over the bottom of the car from the last stage. And we're going to fit this right here. And also, just so you know, these are labeled here. This is FL for front left. The other one is FR for front right. All right, so we'll put that in there, and we're going to hold this in with some DSO1 screws. Once again, we want to make sure these are tight. Okay, and that is the end of that stage. I think there's going to be a lot of very short stages in this part. All right, on to the next one. Okay, for pack 95, we're going to be preparing the right rear wing. And once again, we're fitting this with a PS23 screw. Okay. Just like that. And with that, that is, again, a short stage, but we're done with that stage. Okay, for stage 96, we get another nice big chunk of metal. And for this stage, we're going to be fitting the rear under tray and the right rear hydroplane fin. So in this stage, we're going to bring back the part we built earlier, and we are going to be marrying these two together, just like this. And we're going to be fastening these with a DSO1 screw. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So let's just get these middle ones started. And we'll get the outer one started. All right, then I'm going to get my bigger screwdriver because these need to be pretty tight. So I'm going to make sure I get them as tight as I can get them without stripping them out. Don't want to strip them. That would be bad. Okay. All right. Okay. And the two pieces are now joined together. So now we're going to take our right rear hydroplane that we did in the previous stage. We're going to turn this around, and this one is going to go right here and be held in with some DSO1 screws. All right, just like that. Oh, it's starting to take shape. All right, that is the end of that stage. Okay, for stage 97, we're going to build the last hydroplane, and then we're going to fit it to the body. So let's go ahead and just get this on here like so. And once again, this is a PS23 screw. Okay, just like that. Moving on. Okay, now we're bringing the bottom of the car back over, and we're going to be fitting this one right here. And we're securing that with some DSO1 screws. All right, just like that. All right, and with that, that is the end of stage 97. And wow, look at that. I mean, this is so cool. This is just really cool. Can't wait to get this fitted to the rest of the car. All right, let's move on. Okay, friends, so here I have my base. I've already put a clear varnish over the edges. This is going to be the front, and this will be the back. And what I want to do now is I want to bring this piece over now that it's complete. And I want to figure out where on the base I want the car to be. So now that I know where my holes are going to be for mounting, I can mark them on the board, and then I'll know where they're going to go. So I'm thinking I don't want it too close to the back. I want it kind of centered. Like so, maybe. I think that looks good. So let's go ahead and mark our holes. All right. And there are my holes where I'm going to mount the car to. All right. So I'm going to get to finish figuring this out, and we'll get some more progress on the base. All right, moving on. Okay, for stage 98, we're getting so close, I can taste it. All right, we are going to be attaching the limpet mine hatch and under tray of the car. All right, so let's get started with this. Move these out of the way here for now. We're going to take these two parts here. And looks like this part goes this way. And this part goes this way. And it just snaps in just like that. Okay, next we brought the body of the car over and turned it upside down. And we're going to take the piece we just made. Focus. We're going to take this piece we just made. And let me move the camera. It's going to go right down in here. So you want to make sure you have all your wires routed away from this square opening here, because the bottom of this is going to go down inside that opening. I had one wire that was coming off this way and it was in the way, so I had to reroute it. But basically we're just going to take this and we're going to set it down in here like so. All right, and then we're going to attach that right here with a DSO2 screw. So let's get that down in there and started. All right, so I'm not sure why. It may be just my model, but in the instructions it says to use a DSO1 screw here. But if I use a DSO1 screw, it doesn't fit in the hole. In other words, the hole's too big for the screw. So I did switch to a DSO2, this silver one here, and that one seemed to work fine, but I don't know if that'll happen on yours. Maybe it's just mine, but it's just that hole is just a little too big for the screw that they call out. But either way, that's in. Looks good. Moving on. Okay, friends, just a quick update on my base and diorama part here. So my clear lacquer has dried, or my clear varnish, and I've painted around the edges in a gloss black, and that is nice and dry now. Here and here are where I marked where my stands are going to be for the Lotus once it's done. So my next step is going to be drilling these out to fit the posts so I can get the posts kind of configured how I want them and test fit everything. And then once that's done, I'll move on to the next step, which it's going to be a multi-step process, but I really think this is going to look super cool. So, all right, let's get back to the build and more on this later. Okay, next we're going to be adding the spring to the door here. So it looks like we just get this stretched over here. All right, just like that. Okay, next we brought our base back over and we're going to take this part we just did and we're going to set it right in here, just like that. Sure you can see how that's in there. Then we're going to bring over this part here and it's just going to fit over. It's got little cutouts here that'll go over these two posts. So we'll just put it like that. And we're going to attach that with a couple of DSO2 screws. So we'll just get one started here. All right. Just like that. And then if we turn it over, you can see our limpet mine hatch is spring loaded. Okay, just another quick update on the base. So I've got my holes for my rod drilled. So those are just going to fit in there like that. And then I'm going to epoxy them in. But before I do that, I've got to put them in here and then use this tool to figure out exactly what angle and where to cut these. So they're basically the same as the base. So I'm going to set my stands on here and this will just lay flat on top of the stands, and then I'll just make a circle around here and that way I'll know where to cut them. Okay, just another quick update. I have my acrylic stands made to mimic these stands, and then I drilled a center hole in there and I'll put this pin in here, and then I've got this like foam cushion that's going to go right over that, and that way when the body of the car sits on here it's not going to get scratched, but these pins will go right through the holes where the screws go that hold these on, and if I did everything right the car will just sit right on those pins. These are going to be glued in here with some epoxy so that they will not move. I'm leaving them loose for now until I get all my test fitting done, but yeah, it's coming along swell. So more on this later, but for now, back to the build. Okay, friends, another quick update on my base/diorama for the Lotus. Yes, this is still the Lotus build series, not a totally different model kit build and review. However, I was inspired to do this based on some of the movie posters, the original movie posters from The Spy Who Loved Me. I'll put up a couple of them on the screen here. And I thought, you know, in the movie, the whole premise of the movie is submarines are being captured by the bad guys and to collect their missiles and, you know, blow up the world and all that, you know, world domination, that type of thing. But I really like the submarine aspect of it, and I think it's kind of fitting. And so I picked up this model. It's the USS Los Angeles class. You can do several different versions. It's actually a 3-in-1 kit. This is from Hobby Boss. It's 1x350 scale, which is actually not a bad scale. And I think I paid $16 for this on Amazon. And it's actually not a bad kit. Not a lot of parts. I mean, you wouldn't expect there would be in something like this, but I mean, you know, you've got 3 different versions. You could do it with the periscopes and everything up, or like it's underwater. It comes with a stand. Actually has a really nice paint guide and shows you which version for pretty much, I think the decals are all that change. Although there is 2 separate hulls. And I've already kind of been test fitting. So the tops are what are different. So I'm not 100% sure what the difference in the top is, except for right here, there's fewer outlets here and a whole bunch of extra, look like hatches on this one. But I've decided I'm going to use this one. And it's basically, you know, it's two halves. It's a top and a bottom. And then you've also got a nice set of, well, you can't really see them because they're all in white, but nice set of decal markings. You've got two separate conning towers and the associated parts for those. You've got a plastic prop and some more parts for the base and for the fins on the sub. And it even comes with some photo etched parts. You've got a photo etch here for the base, and you've got some nice 3 pieces to make props from, and maybe a couple hatches there, and then a little base. So granted, I am going to completely cannibalize pretty much most of this kit. However, you know, like I said, it's a pretty nice little kit, and after this build, I may just pick up another one at some point and build it. I really like submarines, and if you've been watching my other series on the large-scale Gatto class submarine that I've been building, you know, that's been a fun build so far. Yes, I am going to get back to that, more coming on that soon, but I'm going to utilize this in my diorama, and I'm not going to kind of go into how and what it's going to look like. I kind of want to save that for the reveal, but let's just say it's going to have an actual purpose, and I may be trimming out a lot of the bottom in here to do something special. So yeah. All right, so that is a quick update for the base / diorama. So now we can go back to the build. Okay, friends, just another quick update. So for my base, I have my acrylic tubes glued down with some resin, so these are not going anywhere. I also put some heavier pins right here. These will go in the actual holes where the screws go to hold in the original base that comes with it, the little black stands. For the ones that go in the rear, I did have to drill out the holes a little bit. They just weren't deep enough, and I wasn't getting enough of the pin in there, but since there's nothing above those, I just drilled them out a little bit to where the pins would fit nicely in, so it'll be easier to put it on the base. So my next step is I'm going to be adding some foam strips to the bottom to simulate sand rails, you know, sand in the bottom. And then I've also found a couple of these little cool, I found them at the secondhand store. They're just plastic rocks. So I'm going to paint these up and detail them and just put them on the base somewhere just to give it a little more detail. And then once my foam rails are in and I've got my simulated ocean bottom there, then I'll be adding my sand as a base, sealing it, painting it up a little bit to give it some highlights. And then after that's done, we'll be ready to sit the Lotus right on the stand here. Also, I have the back pretty much done, with the back of the display is done. I'm going to save that for the reveal though, because it really came out nice. And then I'm also working on the submarine to light the model when we're done. So lots more to come. Until then though, let's get back to the build. Okay, friends, for this next part of stage 98, we're going to be putting the bottom of the car, the skid plate, on the rest of the body. So, I don't know if I'm going to be able to record all of this or not. Putting these parts together is always the most stressful for me because they never seem to fit right. So, I'm going to try to do this, and you may see some of it, you may not, but let's see how it goes. Okay, actually that doesn't look too bad. Gotta make sure these are in here. Okay, we're going to be using some DS01 screws for this, and some PSO2 screws. So let's start with the PSO2 screws here. Let's get the center mounted in. So that's going to be right here. Just get that started. All right, those are in. Let's check. All right, I'm going to put these two screws in now, and these are also PSO2s. Okay, those four are in, and it looks pretty good. So I'm going to flip this over and make sure those are not in all the way. All right. So what I'm checking is where the fin mounts up into the car, there's a little slot and a tab. You want to make sure those are in all the way. And it looks like they are. So I'm going to put these two screws in, which are PSO2 screws. So basically, I'm starting to fasten from the middle and I'm working my way out. That way everything has an even amount of pressure going out. And theoretically it should work. I mean, that's how it works in general mechanics. All right, so those two are in, these four are in. I think I'm going to do the two front, which are DS01 screws. All right, those are in. So now I'm going to put the last two in, which are DS01s also. All right, so now I'm just going to check everything's lined up. And then if it is, I'll tighten everything down. Okay, that all went together and all of my screws are in and tight and it looks really good. All right, moving on. All right, next in the instructions, it says to take our limpet mines and put them in the holder here. But I'm actually not going to put mine in there because I'm going to use mine on my display base. All right, let's move on. Okay, next we're going to fit the battery cover. It's just going to go on just like that. But before I do that, I'm going to put some batteries in. All right, now eventually I am going to replace these with dummy cells and have a small lead coming out of here, just around the plastic here. And that is going to be connected to a power supply that will power the unit, so I don't have to worry about replacing batteries. All right, now this is going to be held down with some DS01 screws. Let's do this one here. And this is just your battery cover, so these don't have to be tight. Just snug them up so it doesn't rattle around. And you should be fine. Because if you're just going to use regular batteries, you're going to have to probably open this up fairly often. All right, moving on. All right, so we got our belly pan on. We've got our limpet mine thing figured out. We've got our battery cover and our batteries in there. And it went together pretty good. I mean, it was a little touch and go there for a few minutes, but once you get these aligned to go in on both sides of the body, it goes in pretty well. And again, just start in the middle and work your way out when you're putting in your screws, and that'll flatten everything out and shouldn't have any problems. All right, now keep in mind at this point, you can't set this on the ground really to store it. You'll need to prop it up. For one, you want to make sure you're not damaging your prop shields here. And when you have it upside down, also watch that you've got clearance for your rear fins back here so that they don't get damaged. All right, so let's move on. For the submarine portion of this project, I assembled the sub per the instructions for the most part before I cut the end off it. The parts went together well. It's a pretty nice little kit. After I was done building the sub, I shot it in a coat of black primer and then clear coated it in a matte varnish. Here I'm adding some detail by just dry brushing a light gray over the black primer. It just highlights some of the raised areas. Now I'm not going for a hyper accurate representation of a submarine, of an actual submarine, because the one in the movie is not based on an actual submarine. But I did want to give it some detail and make it look nice. And then I'm following that up with adding some even more detail by adding some rust and some watering kind of effect to the hull. For this, I'm just using the weathering technical pencils from Ammo from their lock and load system. These work really great. They're really easy to use because you just put on where you want some detail and how much you want, and then you just go over it with a wet brush and kind of drag it down so it lightens it up and fades everything in. And you can add more if you want, or take some away by just wiping it off. So when I was happy with my weathering, I clear coated the entire sub in a matte varnish just to kind of blend all of the different shades and colors in. And in the end, I think it came out really nice. Okay, friends, for step 99, they give us the display stands that come with the kit. Now, I'm not going to use mine eventually because I'm building a display for this and a diorama. But I am going to use them in the meantime so I can store the car without having to worry about messing up my props or my fins. So these just go on pretty straightforward. The ones with the 2 holes closer together goes on the front. The ones with the 2 holes farther apart go on the back. Now, the rear one is going into metal, so you're going to use a DSO2 screw for that. The front ones are going into plastic, so you're going to use a PSO5 screw for this one. Now, they only go one way. If you get these turned around, I'll show you here. If you get these turned around, your angle here is off, so it won't sit right. So just follow the instructions, make sure you get those on and put the screws in there, and you'll be good to go. And that's actually the last part of stage 99. So let's move on. We're almost to the finish line, folks. Okay, friends, the last update for the base. The base is done. I've got my sand down. It looks like the bottom of the ocean. I've got my rocks detailed and attached to the base. I've got my little foam pads for my clear rods where the car is going to sit on. And the background is also in place, but I'm going to save that for the final reveal, as is the special effects submarine, which is above, just out of camera range. That's also going to be saved for the reveal. I do have one of my limpet mines here, and just like in the movie, I'm going to put it somewhere down here on the ocean floor, so it'll look like they just released the mine and it landed on the ocean floor and it's ready to blow up the bad guys. All right, so we are pretty much at the finish line, so I'm going to be right back with the final reveal. And here it is, friends, the completed Lotus Esprit Wet Nellie from The Spy Who Loved Me and from Agora Models. All right, as you saw in the photos, the background is in place. The submarine is in place with the water light effect coming down from underneath the sub onto Wet Nellie. Wet Nellie is mounted on the base. It is not going anywhere. I can remove it off the base if I want to for any reason, but probably not going to do that anytime soon. As far as the water, the underwater effect that the LED provides, it really doesn't show that great on camera. I wish it would, but in person, it looks really cool. Right now, you can't really see it because I've got the set lights on so that you can see the model and the bench. But yeah, looks super cool, came out super great. I'm really, really happy with how it came out. As I've said many times, I am a huge fan of James Bond and of this car in particular, so to see it physically here completed like this is just really amazing. So just a little on how I accomplished everything. So I kind of went over the base. It's just a big piece of wood, basically. I attached the clear acrylic posts to mount the car on. The base, I did some different experimenting, but basically it's just Mod Podge with sand on top of it, and then kind of form it how I want, and then just spray a clear coat of Mod Podge over the sand to kind of hold everything in place. To detail the rocks, that's just basic painting and detailing and dry brushing, and everything is attached to the base solidly. For the background here, I basically designed a poster using Canva, which you can use for free. They have a free version of Canva. And then I just downloaded the image file and I took it to a print shop, gave them the file, they printed it off. I trimmed it to the size I needed. I mounted it on a thin piece of wood, and then over the top of the poster, I have a thin piece of acrylic, just clear acrylic sheet. I did get some brass fasteners and I attached them. So basically the poster is sandwiched between those two pieces, the wood backing and the clear acrylic front. For the submarine, as you saw, I demoed the model kit for the submarine. I just built the sub, pretty much just the top and the bottom, and then I cut the back end off. So the back end is flat. I put a tube from the back all the way to the front with the LED in the middle of it and kind of a reflective lens on it. And then this submarine just fits right over that tube. If I ever needed to take that off and maybe replace the LED or something, I can. But for the most part, it fits really well. So once I had the backside done for the background, I just attached it to the back of the base with some L brackets. For the power for the LED, when you buy it, I'll leave a link down in the description for the Amazon link where I ordered the light from. It does come with a battery pack. It takes 8 AA batteries. It runs on 12 volts. So what I did is I took a phone charger, basically kind of power supply, with a step-up connector, which brought that 5 volts up to 12 volts. So now I can power it with just a USB connector. The power for the car is also run through the same power supply. I don't have any batteries to worry about. I just plug it in. That way I can leave the switch inside the car here. I just leave that on all the time. So when I want to turn it on, I just flip the switch on the cord, everything powers on, and then I've got my remote control to control my lights and features on the Lotus, and the water effect just stays on. As for the remote, it's right here. It went together really well, and it works really well. The fans just came on. Now they're off. Well, I don't have the lights open. Let's open up the lights. We'll turn on the headlights, which you can't see, but they're on. See if the tail lights show up on camera. Nope. Blinkers, nope. Oh, that kind of blinker shows up. There we go. But anyways, the remote works really well, and that will just sit here on the base with the car. And for all of you who are interested in this, I would highly recommend this kit. It goes together really well. There's no major issues that you can't just work out, but that's part of model building, is problem solving, and there will be some problems to be solved, just like there is with any kit. But as far as the kit itself goes, really awesome, really, really great quality on this kit. Everything works, the lights work, the motors work for the fans, the interior lights, everything is just really, really nice. So if you're interested in getting one of these, there is a scannable QR code on the screen. There's also links down in the description. Check it out, sign up, get on the mailing list, get on their website, check everything out, and get yourself one of these of your very own. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. If you have any questions or anything you want to know about my process and the build or the base or the background or anything like that, just leave a comment down in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I really hope you all enjoyed this build series. I really had a great time building this kit. I'm really thankful to Agora for sending it in and allowing me to build this and review it on my channel. Thank you so much, everyone at Agora, for your support. And especially to all you watching this, thank you so much. Lots of questions have come in and people have reached out to me on this kit. And thank you to all of you who've been watching and following along. I really appreciate it. If you like this series, please remember to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button down below. It helps me out, helps the channel out, and I'd really appreciate it. All right, friends, well, that's a wrap on the Wet Nellie build from Agora Models. So until next time, everyone, just be safe out there and go build something.